I will send you the result. Good morning, all of you. Now we are summarizing the chapter People as Resource. If we will see this chapter, in chapter number 1, we have discussed about factors of production, land, labor, physical capital. Now we'll discuss about people as resource, because human resources are an important resources, because when we are talking about the workforce population, that is called human resources, and human resources play an important role in the economy of the country, and we can say that they are the asset instead of liabilities, and that liability can be converted into assets through the investment in human capital, that is in the form of education, training, and healthcare. And we know the importance of education and health also in present scenario. And this is the reason that most of parents are interested that their child should get a proper education, health also. So more educated and healthier people gain through higher incomes, and not only they get income, their families, their society also take the advantage. If we will see India, for many decades, a large population considered a liability rather than asset. But a large population need not be a liability. It can be turned into a productive asset by investment in human capital, which we have already told you about: health, education, and skill, or we can say training also. We have discussed 2 case studies also, story of Sakal and story of Vilas. And in both the case studies, what we have observed, that is Sakal, who went to school, and Vilas did not go. Sakal was physically strong and healthy. No need for him to visit the doctor. But Vilas, who was not well even, Sakal acquired a training also, computer training, and finally found a job in a private firm. But Vilas continued with the same work as his mother. And this was the reason he was not able to increase his income. But what we have learned from Sakal case study, that several years of education added to the quality of labor, and he converted into the skilled labor. So not only he was benefited, family, society, country also affected. Now we'll discuss about economic activities. All the people are engaged in different types of activities. Activities are having 2 parts, that is economic and non-economic. Economic activities for money and non-economic activities for the self-consumption. When your mama is making food for you, that is non-economic activities, because the main aim is to provide good food for the family. But when you are buying food from market, in both the process, cooking is going on, but still one is for market, one is for non-market. So economic activities can be classified into 3 main sectors: primary, secondary, and tertiary activities. Primary activities. In this activities, that is, natural resources are exploited. And that's why it is related with agriculture, poultry farming, fishing, horticulture, animal husbandry, mining, quarrying, etc. Secondary activities, that is conversion of raw material into useful goods, that is called manufacturing or secondary sector. And next and the last is tertiary sector. No production, only provide services. That is banking, transport, communication, all these are called tertiary sectors. Now, economic activities can also be classified into two parts, market and non-market activities. When some product or service is produced to be sold in the market, it is called market activities. Because this activity performed for pay or profit. Non-market activities, that is for the self-consumption. If a farmer produces just enough to meet his family needs, it is called a non-market activity. Say the work performed by our mama is a non-market activity because she is working for the benefit of her family members. Now after that, quality of population. Quality of population depends upon the literacy rate, health of a person, which is indicated by the life expectancy, skill formation acquired by the people of the country. Illiterate and unhealthy population can be a liability for the economy. And literate and healthy population, that is an asset, which contributes for the GDP. Now, education. Education is an important input for the growth of a person. It opens new horizons for the person, provides new aspiration, develops values of life, and the most important, contributes towards the growth of the society and enhances the national income and cultural richness. And this is the reason it increases the efficiency of governance. Now we'll discuss about the policies that can add to the literate population of India. And for this, government has adopted many programs. There is a provision made for providing universal access. That means education for all. Retention and quality in elementary education, along with a special emphasis on girls. Schools like Navodaya School, established in each district. Vocational streams have been developed to equip large number of high school students with occupations related to knowledge and skills. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. That is also a significant step towards providing elementary education. Elementary education means up to 8th standard. To all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years by 2010. Bridge courses and back-to-back school camps have been initiated to increase the enrollment in elementary education also. Midday meal schemes has been implemented to encourage attendance and retention of children and improve their nutritional status. The 11th plan, 5-year plan, to increase the enrollment in higher education at the age of 18 to 23 years to 15% by 2011-12 to 21% by 12th. So strategy focuses on increasing SS quality, adoption of state-specific curriculum modification, vocational and networking on the use of information technology. The plan also focused on distance education, convergence of formal and non-formal, distance and IT educational institutions. Not only education, but health also. And for this, the health of a person helps him to realize his potential and provides the ability to fight illness. So improvement in the health status of the population, that is also the priority of the government. Our national policy aims at improving the accessibility of healthcare, family welfare, and nutritional services with a special focus on the underprivileged segment of the population. Underprivileged means that is economically backward section. And for this, increase in longevity of life, which is an indicator of the good quality of life. And not only this, reduction in IMR, infant mortality rate, along with improvement in life expectancy, that have shown that the healthcare system has improved a lot. There are 460 medical colleges in the country, 342 dental colleges. Just 4 states, that is Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, have maximum number of colleges.